Right, so those three subjects we want to remind you of is the terrorist attacks in Europe and Egypt, the France school system as known as the exams, and of course the UAV drones as known as unnamed aerial vehicles that France have gotten, helping the country and analyzing things.
The first subject we're going to talk about is the terrorism in Europe this year. More than 2,300 deaths have been in Europe, and more than 8,000 people have been injured. This has been in France and other European countries. In the recent events, there was a terrorist attack in Egypt where 300 people died, and many politicians in Europe was very reacted to this event.
What happened to according to the terrorist attacks? They have experienced many strange things.
And now we're gonna go back to Anthony and Alexandra.
In recent years, a sequence of violent attacks happened in the world. Since the beginning of the 21st century, there has been 2,360 deaths in Europe and 8,200 injured. On Friday, November 24, 2017, a terrorist attack happened in a mosque in Egypt's Sinai Peninsula. At least 305 people were killed after militants detonated a bomb and shot at worshippers, wounding at least 128 others. It is the deadliest terrorist attack in Egypt's modern history. Hours after the attack, Egypt President Abdul Fattah al-Sisi said in a televised address, "What is happening is an attempt to stop us from our effort in the fight against terrorism." Concerning France, it reminds us of the terrorist attack which happened in Paris in 2015 and in Nice in 2016, because it's an attempt to French values that are diffused: liberty, equality, and brotherhood.
Also, this attack in Egypt has been condemned by France, Russia, United States, and Great Britain. In consequence, UK Prime Minister and French President Emmanuel Macron gave their condolences on Twitter. Donald Trump, the President of United States, also tweeted, "Horrible and cowardly terrorist attack on innocent and defenseless worshippers in Egypt. The world cannot tolerate terrorism. We must defeat them militarily and discredit the extremist ideology that forms the basis of their existence." Moreover, UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson said he was deeply saddened by the aberrant attack. "My sincere condolences to all those affected by such a barbaric act," he tweeted. European Parliament President Antonio Tajani said in a tweet, "Heartbreaking loss of life in the cowardly massacre that took place in Egypt. Acts of barbarism and hatred in the name of God are acts against God himself."
In France, there has been an exam reform in school, a new system. And now we're going to go back to Leon Charlotte's news about the new exam education in France.
The French final exam, the baccalaureate, was born under the influence of the empire of Napoleon I in 1809. This exam marks the end of the high school and opens to the college. It's separated into three principal sections: the scientific, literary, and economic and social, and then has become an easier exam years after years. Consequently, since few years, the diploma is valued as fallen. Recently, the introduction of a new reform of the baccalaureate is mentioned by the Minister of Education. The French are very attached to this mythical exam, but it's very expensive and does not necessarily prepare for university life. The French government decreed to reforming the baccalaureate in order to give it more importance. The government wants to adopt a new system which can be compared to those Anglo-Saxon and Norwegian.
In accordance with Emmanuel Macron's campaign commitments, the baccalaureate should be limited to 4 final exams. The other school subjects will be evaluated continuously, and the new aim of high school years will be to guide students towards an individualized path. They will then have to choose their discipline and pass a final test. This reform should then serve to raise the level of students and to cultivate excellency in their field. Moreover, the reform could remove the classification of classes set up in 1995 between S, ES and L.
Je suis isolé? Évidemment. Oh putain, yes! Yes! Putain, ça fait 3 ans que je le rate, putain de ça!
Alright, so the last subject we want to remind you of is about, the drones, UAV drones, as known as the unnamed aerial vehicles. So the French army deployed UAV drones, which is what I said, unnamed aerial vehicles. Can be armed to lead dangerous operation for pilots and can be undetected while spying. But those drones, they're not only used to spy on its enemies. That drones can equip equipments like camera to record during flight, spray when watering their farms and gardens, and record during football matches. Let's head back to Capuchin and Nicolas' news according to UAV drones.
Military as citizens shows much river or agriculture, the drone will become indispensable to our daily life to improve.
The French army announced the deployment of Reaper drones in the Sahel-Saharan Strip. These drones are machines that can be armed to lead dangerous operations for pilots when get up at risk. But these drones are also used for the recognition. Thanks to special equipment, some drones can perform tasks of localization or surveillance. The army uses these miniature drones for espionage. These drones have an aspect of the size.
Agriculture uses drones for various monitoring, surveillance, or treatment missions. For this, it can be equipped with various equipments, camera, sprayer, or GPS to make detailed maps of the fields. The mission of the drone is to visualize the level of evolution and growth of agriculture. New innovation can go much further and provide more accurate information to the farmer by drawing complete maps to see more or less fertile areas to increase or decrease irrigation or appropriate treatments. This saves water and treatment for the benefits of whole planet and the farmer. For Euro 2016, an anti-drone system has been put in place to fight against the spy of the composition of the French team. The drone will allow during the Euro to control the action of football players during the match. This allows a second check when a referee is not sure or has not seen well.
In France, the drones are more and more present in our lives. Club of pilots and competitions start being created for the greatest pleasure of amateurs. The competition is through in several steps. They go from the race to the crossing of the obstacles.